the 60s. Shows my age, doesn't it? I attended my very first handfest, and the location, Virtue. I've never forgotten it. All the chaps were getting around in suits and ties, and I make no exaggeration. I think I was 18 and a half, 19. I know I had a licence, but only just. And the reason, one Ray Norton, VK3ATN, recently returned from an extensive trip to the USA at the invitation of the ARRL. Now, I understand that Ray was the first amateur radio station in the Southern Hemisphere to assemble a station capable of moonbounce. Quite a feat when you think about it in the 1960s. By the way, that station was complete with a rhombic antenna showing a gain of something in excess of 30 dB on 2 metres. Now, I'm not going to pinch Ray's thunder, so without further ado, we'll introduce Ray Norton, VK3ATN.
Now, to elaborate on what Noel has said, in 1960 I had quite a number of HF rhombics up in various directions around the world, and whatever I could hear I could work quite easily with 100 watts of power. And you don't need power if you've got a good antenna. The Americans from the Bell Telephone Laboratories suggested to me that I get on Moonbounce, and I said, yeah, but I know nothing about Moonbounce. He said, oh, all you've got to do is have a bit of power and a reasonable antenna, and you'll be surprised what you can do. That led up to the following. I said, all right, well, I'll do it. I'll run 100 watts because that's all I can run on 2 metres. And the majority of the Americans said, you've got no chance of doing it with 100 watts. You'll need at least a kilowatt. I said, I'll do it with 100 watts, and that's exactly what I did. So I designed an antenna because I've been using rhombics on HF, and they were pretty big. They were 75 foot high, and they were stacked in each of the legs. It was 350 foot long. And when I say they were stacked, there was one rhombic at 75 feet and another one at 53 feet. Now getting onto the Moonbounce, that was done in the early 60s. I sat down on the beach just through Geelong, and while the kids were out paddling and swimming and what have you, I was sitting on the beach and studying the other forms that were walking around the beach. Enough of that now. Now this is a bit hard to believe, but it was a rhombic which had an included angle at the feed point of 10 degrees. It's a very, very narrow angle. The leg lengths on it were 350 feet, and I had not one, but a total of 4 stacked one above the other, each of them approximately a wavelength apart on 2 metres. Now, in order to get the gain in the right place at the right time, because I could only do it on a rising moon, if you can understand that. Now, the sun takes 12 months to go from maximum north declination down through the middle, down to the maximum south declination, and then back again. The moon does that in 28 days. So it worked out that I had, once every 28 days, I had the moon that was in the window, because the angle of radiation from that antenna was 5.3 degrees. Now, knowing the latitude and longitude and the GHA and the other figures that were involved in the calculations, I was able to point it where I hoped it was pointing. I started the echoes with my 100 watts. I think I had that up and going around about May of 1965. Now, I couldn't hear my own echoes, but I knew that I should have got them there. I tried again the following month. I still couldn't hear my own echoes. But the following month after that, they were there. Hard to believe, 3 S units above the noise. 3 S units above the noise. The reason I couldn't hear them the first time was the filter that I was using was about 50 hertz wide, and I was listening on and about my frequency. There's a Doppler effect, because as the Earth is rotating towards the rising moon, the path is getting shorter, and it means that the signal that's coming back comes back on a different frequency. It's a higher frequency by something like about 500 or 600 hertz. Now, how on earth can I receive that return signal with a filter that's only 50 hertz wide? I would have had it on the two previous times, but I certainly got it there every time, not a problem. I also had to arrange somewhat of an unusual setup for steering the antenna, and I'm pretty sure you people or farmers or what have you that you've got here know what a barn door track is. Well, a barn door track is a piece of steel with a U in it, and a door hangs on it. Well, I mounted four 16-foot door tracks mounted horizontally, and the end of the rhombic was attached to each of those barn door tracks, and I could get something like 1.2 degrees of extra time on the moon than having it fixed in the middle. I was hearing quite a few people calling me, but they weren't hearing me because I was only running the 100 watts, as I said before. But we eventually made the two-way contact with the, you couldn't miss a better organisation, the Bell Telephone Laboratories. They were on the east coast of the United States. They were running a kilowatt or more into a 60-foot dish.
Mm.
Yeah, they had not quite as much gun as what I had. But there again, mine was over 800 foot long, and it was just on the edge of the town of Birchie. But we had the two-way contact in November of 1965, and I got a free trip to the United States as a result of the first moon bounce, and Qantas flew me over there and back free of charge. Well, thanks very much for your attention, and I'm delighted to be able to get up here and give you a little bit of a show on what you can do if you put your mind to it.
Thank you, Ray, for that overview.